Again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Palmer not coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Instead, we're here at Lod Cook Alumni. Sit down inside the ballroom there. Incredible event there, Football Friday. And it's Football Friday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. That means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos, and we are fired up. You were spending your Friday afternoon with us. We got a lot to get to here over the next 2 hours. Preston Guy will be with us in 15 minutes from TigerBait.com. Eddie Kennison, full disclosure, my first ever favorite player, is going to be with us here in 30 minutes. We got to get our SEC picks against the spread. Certainly set the table for you for the NFL weekend. Saints and Bucks in the Dome with Spencer Rattler. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we got to get you for LSU and Ole Miss. Folks, there's a different juice in this town over the last 24 hours, and this is why this town is so great, this university is so great, this job that I get to do is so great. Yeah, it's fun when Nichols comes to town. Yeah, there's some novelty when LSU and UCLA play inside Tiger Stadium. But when you got a big top 10 matchup, a Saturday night in Death Valley, and Ole Miss comes to town, it is always another level, and I am fired up for what's to come here over the next 34 hours or so because it's going to be a fantastic day on campus tomorrow, and it's going to be an incredible Saturday night in Death Valley. There's been a lot of those over the years, and we've all been blessed to be a part of a lot of those. One of the greatest in the history of Tiger Stadium was back in 1972. LSU took on Ole Miss. The Tigers were 6-0, ranked 6th in the country. And they were in a dogfight, down 6 points late in the game, and what ensued was one of the greatest moments in the history of the Tiger Stadium. The author of that moment, Dr. Brad Davis, and he joins us here inside the Lod Cook Alumni Association. Dr. Davis, it is a pleasure. How are you?
I'm fine. A great day, beautiful day. Glad to be alive.
It's a great day for sure, and it's going to be an awesome weekend. I want to ask you, 100 years in Tiger Stadium, we'll talk about that game in 1972 coming up, but what does Tiger Stadium mean to you? You got a chance to put on that uniform, put on that helmet, come out of that tunnel. A little different back then, but still, what does it mean when you walk in there, when you think about your days playing inside Tiger Stadium?
Well, it always puts a chill in my spirit. That was the place, is the mecca of growing up in Louisiana, growing up in Hammond, Louisiana. That was the place, the only place to be was Tiger Stadium. I had an uncle that was a state representative in the 60s, and he got free tickets for the legislature. And that's how I was first introduced. I was lucky enough they brought me to a couple of games when I was 10, 11 years old, and once I walked in there, I knew that's where I wanted to be.
Was Tiger Stadium as intimidating back then as it is today? You walk in there today, and now they got upper decks on both sides, and then another third upper deck in the south end zone, and it looks like it goes forever. It didn't quite look like that back then, but was it that intimidating?
Yes, it was still intimidating. It was still one of the largest stadiums in the country. I think our capacity was around 68,000. Mm-hmm. Well, teams we played like Kentucky. We played Mississippi teams in Jackson, mm-hmm. and there was 35,000 capacity. So we were one of the largest stadiums, and it was still the loudest stadium that we played in.
Some things never change, and that's still the case today, and it'll be like that tomorrow when we go inside Tiger Stadium. Let's talk about 1972, because that's obviously one of the great memories in the history of that stadium. I kind of set the stage earlier, but Ole Miss came in there. You were 6-0, number 6 in the country, and you trailed 16-10 late in that ball game, and Ole Miss had a chance to kick a field goal that probably would have put the game out of reach. They missed, and you got the ball back. Burt Jones was your quarterback, and y'all had 80 yards to go to score a touchdown and kick an extra point and try to win that that game down 6, and I'll let you tell the rest of that story because, as we talked about a little earlier, I wasn't quite there yet.
No, I guess not. You weren't even a thought in your parents' eyes.
No, my dad was there though. He was there that night. But
well, I'm sure I'm older than your dad. Then.
We'll talk about that in a second. But so set the scene there. You're down 16-10 late in that game.
It was a hard-fought game. I mean, we had played pretty well up until the Ole Miss game, and of course, they say you can throw out the records during a rival game, and it was a big rivalry. I mean, it was our biggest rivalry. I think Alabama is now, but at that time, Ole Miss, with Archie Manning and Billy Cannon and all of the history of the game, and the year before, LSU had lost the game in Jackson in the last few seconds. Archie engineered a drive. So we did owe them something back. So Ole Miss has a 27-yard field goal attempt with right around 3 minutes to go, and they miss. And I don't think this guy had missed a field goal all year. But
he made 4 that night.
But yeah, that's right. I wasn't aware of that. But that, kicking was not like it is today. It's a different game now. But we get the ball with 3 minutes. I looked this up last night. 3 minutes and 2 seconds to go. Bird drove us down the field, ended up on the 10-yard line with 10 seconds left to play. And I had played in the game. I had 15 carries that game. But at that time, Chris Danton was the playing running back. And as he got down to the 10-yard line, I think Chris broke a shoulder pad or something. He came out of the game, and all of a sudden, I was thrust into the spotlight. Coach Mack grabbed me. He said, get in there and make sure nobody tackles Burt. Get in there and block. So I went in, thinking I was just in there to block. And with 10 seconds to go, we had every play was a pass play call, and I was in the route each one of them, and I didn't know where to block them. Who I was supposed to block if I was going out. But it comes down. We run 2 plays with 10 seconds beginning, and at 4 seconds we run a play, and we still incomplete pass, and we still have a second left on it.
It sounded like out of Central Casting that was an incomplete pass to Jimmy Ledoux was the name that I looked up there.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw shade on anybody, but he got hit pretty good. And if you knew Jimmy Ledoux, I don't know if you met him. No. Jimmy Ledoux was about 5'6".
Okay.
And he was a great, toughest guy, tough as nails. But we look up, and the clock still has 1 second. And so Burt, I don't know if Coach Mack I think he sent Al Coffey in with the play. And they called our 2-point play, which we had practiced once or twice during the year.
Sure.
But we never run it before. And so we go to what they call trips left. I'm in 2 outside wide receivers outside. I'm in the slot. And so with 1 second to go, they snap the ball. And the wide receivers go towards the middle, and they pick everybody they can.
I think they call that a rub these days.
Yes, but this was, when you knock the defensive back down on the ground, and it didn't get called. So I sneak out underneath, and I'm waiting, and at the second step, I was wide open. Nobody was around me. And Burt delayed it a second or two, and he throws the ball. I lose it in the lights, but it hit my right hand.
Lost it in the lights. Oh, man.
Well, like I say, there was 2 rows of lights. You had the big lights that were at the top, and then the bottom there was, 25 or 30 feet below there was a one line of lights, which they called the TV lights, which they used if a game got televised. He throws the ball up, and he threw an easy pass to me because I wasn't the greatest receiver. But he threw it past, and I lost it. a split second, and it hit me in the right hand, and I was able to, as I was being hit by Harry Harrison, the strong safety, who was All-American, I gained control of the ball and fall across the flag.
You still had to get the extra point done. You told me kicking wasn't quite the same today as it is then. How did you feel when they were trying to set up for that extra point?
Well, I was on the kick protection team, and so I had to. I was protecting the left side of the line, and I was praying that nobody would come my way and try to. But it's right then, back then, Rusty Jackson came in, and he was a straight-on kicker. We did have a soccer-style kicker named Juan Roca, but he was just used for, I want to say, long field goal attempts. I don't think he ever made one, but a long one. But he a straight-on kicker, and he kicked he was calm as he could be, and so 17-16, and we were dodging a lot of whiskey bottles after that.
I bet you were. Look, it's generational thing in terms of rivals. My dad's rival is Alabama from his college time with Bear Bryant. My early formative years as an LSU fan, Auburn was the game we really wanted to win, and I think Alabama's kind of taken that over. But Ole Miss in the 50s, 60s, 70s was that team. Do you still feel that way when LSU plays Ole Miss?
Yes. I can't stand them. Yeah, I grew up. I was born in '53. Billy Cannon made his run in '59, and as a kid, I was like 5 years old, and of course there was no TV coverage of college games, and I heard things on the radio, and I heard kids at school talking about LSU this, Billy Cannon that, and Ole Miss, and of course they had the old slogan, Go to heck, Ole Miss.
There you go.
And I just grew up, and it was, when I was in high school, it ends up that I was being recruited by Ole Miss also. So I made a trip up there. I was there at Ole Miss's homecoming against University of Houston, where Archie Manning broke his arm.
Oh, yeah, famous.
He broke his arm in that game. And I had offers there. I could have gone there, but it was just ingrained in my mind and psyche that Ole Miss bad, LSU good.
It's still the case.
Yes.
We'll see tomorrow inside Tiger Stadium. You mentioned you're a little bit older than my dad. Do you recall, because he texted me about this, and I'm like, I got to ask about this. Do you recall as a senior in dental school speaking to the freshman class of the dental school?
No, I don't. Can you?
Well, there was a freshman in that class that was my dad.
Oh, is that right?
And so my grandfather was a dentist, and my dad called him after you had addressed the dental school, and my grandfather wanted to hear how dental school was going. And my dad just answered, "Dad, you're not going to believe this. The guy who caught the touchdown pass against Ole Miss, he spoke to our class." All my dad wanted to talk about was football. He didn't care about talking about dental school, and my grandfather just wanted to hear how school was going.
Yeah, I must have. I was the class president.
Okay.
And I guess I had to make people welcome or tell them to change their minds today and go in another direction. But I can't remember what I told him, but I hope it was good.
Well, he's retired in 2 months, so yeah, it worked out. He made it through, and he made it all the way to the finish line. So it's Dr. Brad Davis. It's an honor for us to chat with you. I really appreciate you spending some minutes with us. It's great to go down memory lane there, and let's see if the Tigers can't get another win tomorrow.
Oh yeah, go Tigers!
That is Brad Davis, the author of one of the great moments in the history of LSU football, touchdown catch in 1972. We'll come back with Preston Guy at TigerBait.com next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Make LeBear's Baton Rouge your game day headquarters this season. They got the biggest screens around, and now you can bet and dine at ESPN Bet in person. Plus, you can sign up today for Cover 5's SEC contest. You got to go to the Cover 5 app, click on Join a League, and enter the LABRSEC24 code. And that's LABRSEC24. You can compete against me. I'm not very good, so you'll probably win. Got to download that Cover 5 app to do it, though. Pick each SEC game that week, play against your friends, and enter to win weekly and season-long prizes. Not a member? Get the Penn Play app today. LeBear's Baton Rouge is your live sports headquarters. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Chrysler's Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Fridays, a bunch of LSU football legends. Brad Davis, one of those for sure, and we appreciate a few minutes with him. In 15 minutes, Eddie Kennison's going to stop by and chat with us as well. Eddie now works for LSU, but of course had a great career here in Baton Rouge, went on to do great things in the NFL, so we're excited to chat with Eddie Kennison. Of course, Brad Davis, one of the legendary catches in Tiger Stadium history. Billy Cannon, a long time in the NFL. Preston Guy didn't necessarily do either of those, but he knows a lot about LSU football, and we enjoy his company. So we go to the jimsfirearms.net hotline right now for our guy Preston Guy of tigerbait.com. Preston, how we doing? We'll wait for 1 second before we get to Preston. Again, we got a lot to do here on this Friday. These are the weekends, as I mentioned at the top of the show, that they just are different. And I can't quite, and I realize it's the job to put it into words, but these big-time games in big-time environments with the weather and the opponent and the time of the game and all of those things wrapped into one make Tiger Stadium as good as any place in quite literally all of sport. And I'm one that kind of pushes back on the narrative that Tiger Stadium, every time you walk in there, is the greatest thing that's ever happened to anybody. I've been to plenty of games in there where we beat North Texas by 40 and nobody's there at halftime and it's not that great. I've been to plenty of games where you beat Mississippi State by a bajillion and there's not a great crowd. I've been to plenty of day games where it's a little too hot like 2 weeks ago. But when you get that whole gumbo together and all the recipes are clicking, there's just nothing better. And we're going to get that tomorrow as long as LSU is in the game. So we'll see. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, now joins us on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how are we doing?
Hunt, we're having so many technical problems today. I almost wonder if this just wasn't meant to be.
No, clearly it was, because it has happened. And I understand your phone just croaked on you, just decided that was enough.
I woke up this morning and my charging port wasn't working, which means I go to bed and it didn't charge and it's dead. And look, man, I have zero shame in what I am and being the stereotype of my generation. Like I'm useless without this cell phone. So we went through some issues. We did some troubleshooting. We evaluated our team, so to speak, and we saw, oh, look, the wireless charging port is the solution here. Hopefully LSU can do that with things like their running game and consistency in the offense and maybe some red zone play calls. Maybe Coach Sloan can find his wireless charger this weekend.
We'll see. He's going to need a lot. They're going to have to score some points on Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. Look at this wide receiving core. I don't expect Chris Hilton to play. He hasn't yet, and I don't think anything's changed on that front. C.J. Daniels very questionable. We know that Kyle Parker is not going to play the rest of the season. That was announced yesterday. Brian Kelly and his coaches show. So how do you feel about where they are at wide receiver?
Not good.
Okay.
But Kyron Lacey being healthy certainly helps a lot. But I think we're kind of seeing with Kyron Lacey this year is, he's just not the complete receiver we were hoping he would be. He definitely has flashes of dominance. There's no doubt about that. But, that's a lot of guys. That's a lot of guys. And you're looking for someone to step up. I could start naming guys, but honestly, I almost wonder, is it going to be someone we're not expecting, who just comes in, has an opportunity, and balls out, So that's kind of where I am. I kind of don't want to, say something and look stupid when it's someone completely different who shines out this weekend.
I got to look stupid 10 hours a week on here. You're only here for 15 minutes. You can make that happen. Like, I'm looking at potentially Kamorian Pimpton or Trey'Dez Green. Those were the first two words out of Brian Kelly's mouth. I have no problem splitting Trey'Dez Green out there and telling him what route to run. I think he's a matchup problem no matter who's over there. I think that LSU's got other options, but this is not necessarily a bad one in my estimation.
Well, and that's kind of why I was not wanting to go out and say, because those are tight ends. And you know how many grabs they have this year? Have you counted that up?
Between those two?
4.
Yeah,
Four
not a lot.
Combined. Yeah, so remember preseason, we were all excited, especially about those red zone packages they were showing us at practice. I mean, those looked really good. So I'd be shocked if they don't lean on tight ends more than they have in this game, and maybe even put a guy like Trey'Dez Green at wide receiver, and let's see what he can dial up. But I would expect with that many receivers out, you're going to see something crafty and different.
I've been thinking all week, and I wrote this in a column that I put up this morning, that this was the defense's time to show whether or not they were ready to compete with the big boys. And as I started thinking about that, I went, I think that LSU's defense will probably be okay. I don't know that they're going to give up 50. I think they're going to be okay. They're going to give up points. Maybe it's a prove-it situation for this offense and Garrett Nussmeier that, hey, this is a pretty good defense with a lot of pros. You got to go score.
No, I think that's exactly the case. This defense is what it is. We've talked a lot about what the offense needs to do to improve. I think that's because we all think the pieces are there. It's just there's you got to work some things out. Joe Sloan is learning as a new coordinator, and he's learning his team. And I think that this team needs to find its identity in the running game and red zone. I think if you could iron those issues out, this could be an elite offense to score some points. I think defense is what it is. And what it is a defense that's going to be aggressive. It's going to bring some blitzes, but it's also one without the men to run that kind of defense on the back end. So you're going to give up some big plays in the passing game, especially to a guy like Jackson Dart. So if you're looking to win this game 17-13, you've got the wrong game plan, okay? I mean, you've got to put up points. I'm not saying you need to put up 55 to win like you needed last year, right? But you need to be at least hoping to score in the 30s because I would bet a good bit of money that Ole Miss at least gets close to the 30s. If you had to tell me 28 points, I'd say I don't think they hold them below 28 points. But the thing is, you got to think of it like, okay, if they get 10 drives, how many can you get 5 stops on those? Can you get 50% stops, or can you limit them to field goals at least? Because this defense will dial up pressure on crucial downs and get stops sometimes, which is a great improvement. But at the same time, like they have who they have, and it hasn't been great. They rank 53rd in the country right now in total scoring defense.
And look, I mean, they scored a 17 on Kentucky. They scored 3 points in the second half against South Carolina. Now, they knew that South Carolina had no chance to score, so they just kind of ran it into the ground. Right. They completed 1 pass in the fourth quarter of that game. But it's not like they're scoring 50 a game. I think we all have respect for Jackson Dart and certainly Lane Kiffin, and we'll see what Trey Harris can give them. But they have not been a humming machine in their 2 SEC games on offense.
I get it. I do. I've just watched this LSU defense enough to kind of know that the matchup is not something I really like. Now, I do think that those two teams, particularly Kentucky, laid out the formula of how to slow this offense down and make them look human for sure. And that is getting pressure on them, man. And I think LSU does have the ability to bring pressure this year. I just do not have confidence in this secondary to cover based on what I've seen. I also think about situationally. When this defense absolutely has to get a stop, you've had basically 2 opportunities this year to show that, right? Against South Carolina and USC, and Miller Moss drove the ball down and got the game-winning touchdown and basically gave you no time to respond. So he did whatever he wanted with your defense. And then Robbie Ashford in South Carolina, who is not a prolific passing offense at all.
No, they're terrible.
Right, especially with Robbie Ashford out there. I think they completed 2 passes with Robbie Ashford in that game, and the defense still gave up enough yardage to give up the game-tying field goal. They just missed it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is like, well, if you can't stop Robbie Ashford in South Carolina when you need to, I just don't see a world where this defense stops Jackson Dart when it needs to. I don't. And you can talk to me about all the comps and stuff, but I've watched LSU play too,
For sure. When you look at LSU's offense, specifically DJ Chester and the 2 guards in the middle, and probably extending to the tackles as well, and you look at the personnel that Ole Miss has got with Walter Nolan and J.J. Pegues, and I think Umamielan's going to play, but obviously Ivy is as well. Like they got pros up there. How do you feel about those guys' ability to keep Garrett Nussmeier clean enough?
While they're passing, I think that they should be all right. Now, they might have to make some adjustments, and bear in mind, if they do have to go to heavy tight end packages throughout this game, you get a little bit of extra body. Although, after Mason Taylor, I'll say the blocking abilities of Pimpton and Trey'Dez Green aren't great, but it certainly is better than putting out a slot receiver. So, I think they should do all right, but you have to understand a lot of Ole Miss's improvement this year has been on the defensive front. This is not the Ole Miss defense of last year. They are rock solid, but again, you're spot on about giving Nussmeier time to pass, and I think this offensive line has proven mostly they're going to be good at pass blocking. It's the run blocking I'm worried about. Can you give Caden Durham space? Is Caden Durham going to be 100% speed, by the way? Pretty sure he plays, but how is he a half step off, or is he going to be at his elite bursting ability? And by the way, not just speed, but can he run through tackles like he has been?
All right, I kind of got the vibes from talking to you, how you feel it's going to go, but tell me how you think it goes tomorrow night inside Tiger Stadium.
Oh, man, am I that pessimistic? Look, I keep on going back to can LSU force a stop when it needs to, okay? And let's say LSU takes the lead with 90 seconds to go. How much confidence do you have in this defense to be able to keep Ole Miss out of the end zone in 90 seconds? And until I see it, I don't have much. I don't. So I think it's going to play out a situation kind of like that. And, I don't particularly foresee a blowout on either side of the ball. I see a close game. And unfortunately, what I've seen out of this defense in close games is it's concerning. So I really do think LSU has a chance to win this game, because I do think that the offense is close to turning the corner in a lot of ways. But I'm going to go based off of what I've seen. And what I've seen is that I think LSU loses a close one. But don't sleep on it. I'm not calling LSU dead yet.
I'll take my chances if LSU can get a lead with 90 seconds to go. If that's the problem we have, then I'll take that as a problem. Preston Guy's with us every single Fridays, TigerBait.com, every Monday talking Tiger football on the Tiger Bait YouTube channel. Enjoy the football this weekend, Preston. Thanks.
All right, Hunt. See you soon.
He is Preston Guy. We're here at Lod Cook Alumni Center. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. If you got a tailgate and you're looking for some food, call the folks over at Cork's. They are happy to feed you in bulk. Got crispy fried catfish. Got that clean, crispy crunch in that catfish. They've also got the jumbo Gulf shrimp. Shoestring fries are fantastic as well. The honey butter rolls, coleslaw, and they're great with po' boys as well. They're on Government between Jefferson and Foster. It's Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. When we come back, LSU legend Eddie Kennison is going to join us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, fantastic to work with. They're right here in Baton Rouge. Y'all know I spent 7 years in the insurance game. I know that it's not the most fun thing to talk about, but I also know that at times you really need it. And if the only thing you concern yourself with when you're dealing with your insurance program, if you're a business, is the premium, you need to take a closer look at that. Premium's obviously going to be important, and the folks at the Highland Insurance Group know that, and they're going to work as hard as they can to make sure that it's down at a reasonable price. However, the most important thing is when that incident happens, whether it's a car accident that has extensive damage or injury, whether it's a hurricane that comes through and causes a lot of damage, you need to make sure that your business is protected, and you need to trust your insurance broker to make sure that happens, and you can trust the Highland Insurance Group to make that happen. If you don't know what EPL insurance is, D&O insurance is, crime, cyber coverage, what they do, call the Highland Insurance Group. They can help you with all of it. They also handle group and employee benefits. Think of them as part of your team as a business owner. If you don't know everything there is to know about your insurance program, and that's a big ask, maybe your broker needs to know that kind of stuff. Highland Insurance Group can handle all of your needs. Find them online, HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques, Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Back here inside Lod Cook Alumni Center. It's a football Friday on campus here at LSU. We appreciate the Alumni Association for having us out here. Hope you're having a great one. Gorgeous weather here in the capital city. So if you're coming from somewhere in Louisiana for a big weekend here, out in Houston, wherever you may be coming from, be careful. We'll lock you in and get you here safe, and it's going to be a great, great weekend on the campus at LSU. It's now my pleasure to bring on star at LSU in the mid-1990s, and I'm not ashamed to say this, my first ever favorite player in Baton Rouge. I once opened a Christmas present with 2 Eddie Kennison T-shirt jerseys, a purple one and a gold one. Wow. I wore them every day for probably 30 days straight. Wow. Eddie Kennison joins us now. Eddie, thanks so much for the time. How are you?
Oh, Hunt, I'm doing fantastic, brother. Thank you for that introduction. That's a pretty cool story.
Well, let's see if you won't remember this, but I certainly do. It's burned into my brain. Y'all came up to the Independence Bowl in Shreveport in 1995. And I was 7, and you were my favorite player. Well, I was 7, so my mom and dad said, well, you can come for the first half, and then we're dumping you off with your grandparents, and we're going to watch the second half and go out with our friends after it's over. It was a big deal in 95 to go to that Independence Bowl. You remember that. In Shreveport, it was a huge deal. And so I went to the game, and then obviously my parents dropped me off with my grandparents downstairs, and they went back up, and I had to listen to the rest of the game on the way home. And my parents come to pick me up the next day, and my dad said, you're not going to believe this. After we won, Eddie Kennison took that flag and started waving it after we won, and I just broke down in tears. They had deprived me of that moment of seeing my favorite LSU player waving the flag. He thought I was going to think that was really cool that he saw that, and I was just devastated that I couldn't be there. Do you have any recollection of waving that flag on the field?
I absolutely do not have any recollection of waving that flag, but I'm sure it happened.
It may have, it may not have, but it crushed 7-year-old Hunt Palmer that he wasn't able to be there. I've been talking to a lot of former players today. They're celebrating 100 years in Tiger Stadium really tomorrow in earnest. When you think about Tiger Stadium now, 30 years since you played, what does that bring back to you?
Man, it's wow, I get goosebumps just thinking about the core memories of being in Tiger Stadium. And I'll tell you this quick story on how significant Tiger Stadium has been in my life. 2 years ago, we played Army here, and I was on staff with Sports Properties, a part of the athletic program, and I was standing in north end zone right next to the goalpost where our Tigers run out, right? They had just did the national anthem, and with Army, we had a flyover. And Hunt, I caught myself like in this weird out-of-body experience, like I was getting ready to play. Like it brought me back to the early 90s. And I started to like tear up. And I had to you kind of snap your fingers and come out of it. I was like, Eddie, come back, brother. You're not playing this game. So core memories and just running out. In the saying now, it never gets old. I can promise you for myself and for every guy that has run out of that tunnel, it will never get old, ever, ever.
You had a great NFL career. You played for multiple organizations. Would that happen if you went up to Kansas City? Is it just different with the college? I mean, you're a Lake Charles guy, but is it different for the college that you chose as opposed to the NFL team that chose you?
Absolutely, because back then, choosing a college, it was you're committed. You want to go to that university because you're committed to the people that recruited you. You're committed to the process of how everything happened and how it was presented and how they made you feel when you came here. The National Football League, it's the step above, but now they're paying you to play that sport. You still love it, but now they're paying you. At the collegiate level, we were still doing it for fun, brother. We didn't have NIL dollars, and we didn't have the money that was coming in. It was books, it was school, it was football, and that was it. So it's a little bit different because we still loved it. It's just the National Football League, they were paying us for it.
When you were in high school, LSU football was bad. And when you showed up and everything kind of moved in the right direction, and the DiNardo years were good, and then they weren't as good, and then Saban obviously came and built what it is today. And I kind of grew up in a world where LSU was relevant, and now, in my formative years, they're winning national championships, playing for national championships. If I could take you back to the early 90s when you were in high school, when you played for LSU, and to see what LSU is now, where they're a blue blood in the sport,
That's right.
would you have believed that in the mid-90s?
The answer is yes. And I came to LSU believing that we could, go to a bowl game and turn this program around. Because I think in 1995, that was my junior season, and we hadn't won a bowl game since, I think, 86 or 87, somewhere in that area. But it's been a long time. And when my recruiting class came in, we had the #1 recruiting class in the nation. So talk about guys like David LaFleur. We had top 5 running backs out of 5 different states. We had Gabe Northern out of Glen Oaks here in Baton Rouge, James Gilliard, Torrey James, Clarence Linton, all of these guys who came in as freshmen saying that we want to win a national title while we're here. Now, we didn't get that done, but in 1995, that was the bringing back the magic year.
Yeah.
You can remember that. And that year, to current date, that 1995 season helped turn the trajectory of LSU sports, not just football. We were running in track, a lot of women's national championships, but that 95 season, it really changed the trajectory of LSU football and the sports that we know as LSU today.
Absolutely. Tell everybody what you're doing with LSU these days. I think most people remember you running with the football in your hand. I see you running a bunch on Saturdays, but you don't have a football with you.
Yeah, so my job is just as fun here. I do work with LSU Athletics in the LSU Sports Properties Division. So it's a lot of our corporate sponsorships, helping them market what their business is, all of the assets and everything in and around campus, in Tiger Stadium, Alex Box, PMAC. We sell all of those assets. We sell our radio spots and television, all of those fun things. So I basically get to wine and dine, our corporate partners, making sure that they're all healthy. Yes, I do some negotiations and contracts, and, that's not the flashy part of it, but that's part of it. But the majority of the time, we're entertaining and we're out eating and we're having fun. And on game days, brother, I get to travel to all of the tailgates. I get to do all of these fun things as I'm working, as if I was a fan tailgating. They're just paying me for it.
I apologize for me, Brandon and Marlon, how difficult a spot we put you in trying to sell our show. But we appreciate you, all your hard work. Can we talk about this LSU football team? You watch them up close every time we're at home. When I talk to the players on Tuesdays and I hear Brian Kelly talk, they really think they're really close. Mm-hmm. And, look, I'm not at practice. I don't know, and they've had a week off, and this is a step up in class here with Ole Miss. Do you feel like they're close to regaining that status as one of the top teams in the country?
There's no question. And this would be a different conversation if I had not seen from the Vegas game, the USC game, to current date. Every week, each one of our components of our team, offense, defense, and special teams, they have gotten better every single week. And that shows progress. And that tells us that they are closer to where they want to be in being in like the true national rankings in the top 5, making the playoff, and then ultimately winning the national championship. Yes, we are there. Brian Kelly has proven his entire career to be a winner, and he knows how to build programs for them to be winners, and I know that we're there for sure.
I'll be sure and tell 7-year-old Hunt that no, he didn't get to see Eddie Kennison wave that flag in Shreveport that night, but he did get to sit down for 10 minutes with him and chat about LSU football.
Even better,
just a few years later. Appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow out there.
Yeah, thank you as well, brother.
That's LSU legend Eddie Kennison. We'll come back and set the table for the NFL weekend to come. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. If you want to make your home the place to watch all the games, you can do it. You just got to call my guy Mitchell Fisher, 225-439-7920. You give him a call. You let him know, hey, I'd like to get my home entertainment system figured out here. if you don't even know where to start, that's okay. I didn't know where to start. Mitchell Fisher came over. They can provide the television. They can install those TVs. They can handle your surround sound. You think, I don't know if I can handle surround sound. You can. It's all at the touch of a button right there on an app, and Mitchell will show you how to use each and every one of them. My wife and I are completely technologically averse, and we can figure it out because Mitchell Fisher helped us out with all of it. So if you want to make your place the place to watch all the big games, Audio Video Security Solutions needs to be your first call. Check them out on Instagram. You can see some of the great work that they do. It's AVSS_BR. Check them out online, as I always tell you. It's Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Cannaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Hunt Palmer Show on a Friday, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. We're here at the Lod Cook Alumni Center and Hotel. It's a football Friday. It's a big weekend here in Baton Rouge. Tigers and Ole Miss 6:30 tomorrow. And, of course, Saints and Bucks coming up at noon on Sunday. It's a big one for the Saints. We'll talk a little bit more about that in hour number 2. But at the end of hour number 1 here, let's get you set for the rest of the NFL slate on Sunday. Buys this week: Chiefs, Rams, Miami, and the Vikings. So we don't have any tier 4. That's the garbage football. We don't want garbage football. We want good football. And we got some good football. We'll start in Tier 3. The Bengals are at the Giants. That is Sunday Night Football. Malik Neighbors ruled out of that game. The Bengals are second in the NFL in points per drive, and Burrow's second in QBR, but they can't win any games. Fire this coach. Fire Zach Taylor. I'm out on Zach Taylor. The Jaguars and the Bears will play in London. This is the first of a doubleheader for the Jags in London. They're going to move them there, and that sucks, but it is what it is. The Bears have not been favored outside of Chicago since 2021. They are favored there in London. The Colts are at the Titans. Tennessee leads the NFL in yards per game allowed. They're really good on defense there in Nashville. The Colts are the worst in the NFL in yards per game allowed. However, the Colts are 4-1 against the spread this year, so if you're looking at a team that's beating the number, Indianapolis is doing that. The Texans are at the Patriots. Drake May will make his starting debut. Listen to this stat. This is nuts and is a testament to the National Football League. Underdogs of at least 6 points this year are 15-2 against the number. That's one thing. They're 10-7 outright. Teams that are catching more than 6 are 10-7 outright in NFL games. That is crazy. Patriots are catching 6 at home. The Browns are at the Eagles. The Browns have not scored 20 points yet in 5 games. That is not good. Deshaun Watson has a quarterback rating of 21. That also is not good. How bad is it? It's the 4th worst of 480 quarterbacks to start the first 5 games of a season since they started creating the metric. 4th worst at a 480. How much money are they paying that guy? My word. The Steelers are at the Raiders. Russell Wilson did practice this week. Still, Justin Fields probably going to start. The Raiders have covered 5 straight times after a loss. Antonio Pierce has rallied those guys after an L. They took one last week. They're at home against Pittsburgh. The Falcons are at the Panthers. Kirk Cousins, under pressure, not good. In fact, the worst in the NFL. 5 interceptions, no touchdowns. Kirk Cousins, not under pressure? Very good. The best in the NFL, 8 touchdowns and no interceptions. The Falcons, how about this stat, have trailed in the final minute of all 3 of their wins this year. No team has ever done that through their first 5 games of an NFL season. They have trailed in the final minute all 3 of their wins. We'll go to Tier 2 here. Got some good football coming at you. Cardinals are at the Packers. Quietly, Jordan Love has 5 interceptions in 3 games played this year. He did that early last year, and then he found his stride. We'll see if he does that at a home game this week. Kyler Murray is running for 10.7 yards per carry as the Arizona Cardinals quarterback this year. It's a good quarterback matchup there in Lambeau. The Chargers are at the Broncos. The Chargers have scored 0 second-half touchdowns since week 1. And the Broncos have the league's top scoring defense. They also generate the most pressure in the NFL over the last 2 weeks. Sean Payton's team, not very good on the offensive side of things, but they can play some defense. And the Chargers can't score in the second half. We'll see what gives in that divisional matchup out in Denver. In Tier 1, this is the best football of the week. The Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels are at the Baltimore Ravens. But Washington's playing well. We know that. They're not playing great on defense. Their defense is 31st in the NFL in yards per carry allowed. And oh, by the way, the Ravens lead the NFL in yards per rush. It is going to be a run-heavy attack for Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and company. We'll see if Jaden can keep that great play up and if Washington can assert themselves as for real in the NFC. If they beat Baltimore, whose record's not great, but their team is very good, that'll be a sign to me that Washington is absolutely for real in the NFC. In the last game here in Tier number 1, the Lions are at the Cowboys. I think this is a fantastic game. Dan Campbell coming back to Texas. The Cowboys had won 16 straight at home before the Saints beat them. If they lose Sunday, it will be the first time they've had a 3-game losing streak with their starting quarterback at home since 2006. In 2006, I was a senior in high school. The Cowboys have bottomed out at home. We'll see if Dan Campbell and the Lions can go make it happen there in Big D. That's it for your NFL slate, as we mentioned at the top. Bye weeks for the Chiefs, Rams, Miami, and the Minnesota Vikings. Man, has this been a fun first hour here of our Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. A big shout out at the top of the show. Dr. Brad Davis joined us to talk about his catch in 1972 to tie the game with Ole Miss before the extra point won it. As we were talking back in the big ballroom earlier, he thinks that maybe some home cooking with the clock operator, but hey, we're not going to litigate that 52 years down the road. And it was great to chat with Dr. Davis about all of that. At the top of our show, Preston Guy, always with us from TigerBait.com, talking some LSU football, and we enjoyed that conversation as we do every single week. And then a real thrill for me to chat with Eddie Kennison, who was a great player here at LSU, had a wonderful NFL career, now working with LSU Sports Properties here at LSU. And great to kind of go down memory lane with him and then talk about this team, because we know that LSU's got a huge opportunity coming up in tomorrow's game. If you missed any of the first hour, you can always catch it on demand where you find all our stuff on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. All of our shows are archived there each and every day. It starts with Off the Bench, then Live at Lunch, my show, The Hunt Palmer Show, then After Further Review. Always with you there on 1045ESPN.com or wherever you find your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, and certainly on YouTube. If you're looking for our LSU football content, you can find us on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. We got a lot to do in the second hour as well. We're going to set the table for the weekend in the SEC. Certainly going to get you ready for Saints and Bucks as well. And my final pick for both of those games coming to you at the end of hour number 2. Get you ready for the broadcast schedule tomorrow. It's a 6:30 kickoff. That means at 1:30 we'll have Eagle 98.1 Game Day from Rouse's Burbank and Lee. That'll be Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso. They'll hand the keys to me at 4:30 from the Bud Light Fan Zone between the ramps of the Assembly Center. And we'll have you, myself, Marlon Favorite, Brandon Taylor, leading you up 30 minutes before kickoff. That's at 6 o'clock. 30 minutes after it goes final, the LSU post-game report will come to you on the LSU Sports Radio Network. And then 90 minutes after it goes final, Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon will be with you for Eagle 98.1 Game Day's post-game show, taking your phone calls. So join us coming up tomorrow at 1:30. We'll start things up with our LSU football coverage. But we're not done here. We've still got a second hour to go, and we are fired up to be here. I hope your Football Friday is going exceptionally well. We're brought to you by the folks at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp, coming to you from the Lod Cook Alumni Center and Hotel. We'll pause for Sports Center. We'll come on right back, get you ready for SEC football tomorrow. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Cannaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
Elimination Day in the NLDS. I'm Chris Smith. It's a winner-take-all Game 5 between the Padres and Dodgers. Yu Darvish gets a nod for San Diego. He has a 1.59 ERA and 4 starts versus the Dodgers this season, including Game 2 of this series. And that is why Padres manager Mike Shilt's confidence is sky high.
He's got 203, wins in his career. Pitched a long time. He's pitched them in big stages. Clearly, we're going to have one on Friday. Pitching international competition. He's pitched in that stadium obviously very well, and recently, he's one of the better pitchers of this generation. So that's why the confidence is high for me.
Yoshi Yamamoto will be on the hill for LA, making this the first postseason game all time where Japanese-born pitchers started against each other. Coverage begins 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Meanwhile, due to weather issues, Major League Baseball has moved the start time of Saturday's decisive Game 5 of the ALDS between Detroit and Cleveland to 1:08 p.m. Eastern, with coverage beginning 12:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. On the NFL, Browns running back Nick Chubb has been ruled out for a second straight week as he continues to work his way back from last year's severe knee injury.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Monday. NFL, college football, and, of course, Major League Baseball playoffs. And I'll recap it all in my Upon Further Review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
As far as that goes.
What is going on right now?
Hi. It's Football Friday here in Baton Rouge. There's no place I would rather be in this city right here, right now. It's going to be an awesome weekend. LSU and Ole Miss, a Saturday night in Death Valley tomorrow. 6:30 is the kickoff. Should be a good one between the Saints and Bucs. An interesting one between the Saints and the Bucs at the very least. We'll talk about that and where the Saints go from an injury perspective coming up here in the next segment. My final pick for both games coming up at the end of the show. All right, Beck, before we get to these picks, we understand what has happened here. We were 24-29 entering last week. We were feeling low. We had just had a 1-4 week, so I decided, you know what? We're going to break this thing down, and we're going to go with the opposite because, let's just face it, I'm not all that bright. And what happened was I went 5-1. So I would have gone 1-5. Instead, I went 5-1. Do we feel like I need to go back to that strategy?
Absolutely, Hunt. There's no way you should change the strategy until it proves to not work. So I would say there's no way you shouldn't try this again.
Admitting complete incompetence. Am I prepared to admit complete incompetence?
I think you have to be.
I don't have to be. So let's see what we decide to do. Cue the music. All right, we'll start at 11 o'clock in the morning. South Carolina headed to Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. The Tide are laying 21 points coming off of a shocker against Vanderbilt. Bama has been better in pass protection this year. They were atrocious last year. South Carolina's been kind of Jekyll and Hyde. They started off the season with just an awful effort. Then they go to Kentucky and play just fantastic. They were pretty good against LSU. They were awful against Ole Miss last week. There's just not a lot of consistency there. I think Lenora Sellers is bad. And I think that Alabama is going to be ticked off. And so I understand that 21's a lot of points, but I like Alabama to win this game and cover the 21. My pick for this game on the air, Alabama minus the 21 points. We're laying them in Tuscaloosa. Deal with it. Back 11 o'clock kickoff. Missouri is at UMass. This is an atrocious scheduling decision by Missouri. You do not, under any circumstance, play at UMass unless Marcus Camby is playing basketball and you're playing on the hardwood. Football, unacceptable. It's a 28-point number. So I had to do some research on UMass. UMass is number 107 in the country in scoring defense, 117th in scoring offense. Translation, they stink. Missouri, you got the chance to go make yourself feel better after you got absolutely emasculated in College Station last week. I think Missouri covers the 28. My selection for this show, Missouri minus the 28. We're back, baby. We're laying massive numbers just like we never left. 2:30, Red River Rivalry, SEC edition from Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. Texas against Oklahoma. Oklahoma catching 14.5 here. Quinn Ewers comes back for Texas. Oklahoma's top wide receiver, Deion Burks, is out in this game. Do we still think Oklahoma's defense is really, really good? Like Arkansas put the clamps on Tennessee, and that's really all we were going off here with Oklahoma. I don't give you credit for Houston and Tulane. So I don't really know. This feels like a statement game for Texas. It feels like 41-14 in Texas's favor. That's what it feels like to me. 14.5, whatever, we'll lay the points. We're laying a bunch of points these days. Hook 'em horns. I think it's a statement day in the Cotton Bowl. We're laying a lot of points through 3 games here. Mississippi State's at Georgia. Speaking of a lot of points, 33.5, that's a lot of points. A freshman quarterback from Mississippi State going to Athens, that doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun. Georgia was mediocre on offense in the first half against Clemson, first half against Bama. They only scored 31 on Auburn. It was kind of a clunky effort. They got to get things rolling with Carson Beck and company. Mississippi State, on the other hand, they just don't move the ball ever. They're number 15 in the SEC in scoring offense, not to mention they're the worst team in the SEC in scoring defense. They don't do anything well in Starkville. So I'm looking at this game. 33.5 is the number. I feel like if Mississippi State can score 2 touchdowns, they'll cover. Because, that'd be 40-14. You would get home with that with Mississippi State. I don't think Mississippi State can score 2 touchdowns. Give me the Dogs minus 33.5. We have just laid all the points once again. Florida is at Tennessee. 14.5, that's a big number here. I feel one of 2 ways about this game. Either Florida hangs in there and beats them, or Tennessee beats the brakes off them because Florida's not very good at all. The Florida quarterbacks the last 2 weeks have been better. Graham Mertz, the last 2 weeks, 38 of 44. That's 86%. And DJ Lagway has been better than that, 11 for 11. They are completing 89% of their throws the last 2 weeks. They've done that to the tune of about 450 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks, and DJ Lagway has run it a little bit. They're playing better on offense against lesser teams. The problem here is that Tennessee wants to run the ball, and Florida gives up a lot on the ground. A&M ran for 310 on them. That could be an issue for the Gators. I'm going to hold my nose here. I'm going to take the 14.5 with Florida. I don't feel great about it in Neyland Stadium, but Florida's got a little bit of a spell on Tennessee. I think they stay within the 14.5 number. They might win it outright. Vanderbilt's at Kentucky. Kentucky's laying 13.5. This line's got everybody thinking, what's going on here? Because we know Vanderbilt has played better. Kentucky's been not so good some weeks, a little bit better others. The Ole Miss game stands out in that perspective. I feel like a lot of people run Kentucky here. Pavia is way better than Brock Vandegrift. Diego Pavia, much better quarterback. Problem for Vanderbilt is Kentucky is number 6 in college football in run defense. They put the clamps on Ole Miss's run offense. They're good stopping the run. And Vanderbilt just wants to run. If they can't run, I don't want Pavia standing back there trying to throw it all day. He hadn't turned the ball over yet. He's still not great throwing it. He wants to run the football. I will take Vandy. I will take the 13.5 points. Here's my prediction on this game. I think me not getting that extra half a point to get it to 14 is a problem. But I'm still going to take Vanderbilt, and I'm going to take the 13.5 points. So we're swallowing a lot of points with Alabama 21, with Missouri 28, Texas with 14.5, and Georgia 33.5. We will take them later in the day with Florida 14.5 and Vanderbilt 13. Beck, you've been listening. You've been observing. Do I have your approval?
No, you don't, because you're clearly not going with the Costanza picks, and it's going to hurt you in the end. That's okay though. You'll see that next week, and then you'll go back to what you should be doing in the first place.
That's going to be another terrible situation. But I want to be smart. I want people to think I'm smart. I don't want people to think I'm an idiot who can only win because I can't do anything.
Hunt, if you go 5-1, people will think you're smart no matter how you got there.
I don't know if that's the case. It's just proving I'm a moron.
I don't know.
That's the way things go. One of those bets looks good to you. What game would you feel the most comfortable in picking there? That's a lot of big spreads. Not a lot of 2.5s and 3.5s this week outside of Baton Rouge. It's a number of touchdowns in all these games.
Yeah, the only game that I feel comfortable with, I think, is actually the opposite of you with Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to be very, very coming out. I think they're going to come out hot after that loss last week to Arkansas. I think that they will beat Florida by more than 2 touchdowns.
I've got Nico concerns. That was just – he has not been good against Oklahoma and Arkansas. And, I realize it's nice to go beat NC State by 1 billion, but they ran the ball a ton in that game, and he turned it over. He might not be that good right now. He could be better moving on. He's young, but, he might not be that good.
Yeah, it's that last week was certainly a concern, but I think he's good, and I think Florida is just not good, and they got a okay win against UCF last week, but I just don't think Florida's very good. I think Tennessee is just a much better team overall.
89% completion by the 2 quarterbacks over 2 weeks. That's pretty good.
Yeah, the competition not so much. Not so much.
All right, that's my picks for the Southeastern Conference this weekend. Not quite as elite a week in college in the SEC. From a brand name perspective, yeah, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, Oklahoma look phenomenal. Not necessarily. I think LSU and Ole Miss are kind of carrying the mantle there. And then you've obviously got the big one out west with Ohio State visiting Oregon. I was shocked looking up here in the bar at Lod Cook at Saban and Pat McAfee in short sleeves in Eugene in October. I did not see that one coming. Apparently the weather quite nice up there in the Pacific Northwest. All right, Saints and Bucks coming up tomorrow. Oh, not tomorrow. They will play on Sunday from the Superdome. The Saints are banged up. We'll talk about where they go from here coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. Justin Boudreaux was here just a little bit ago. Always enjoy our conversations. They run a wonderful family business at Boudreaux's Electrical, and they're fantastic people that do fantastic work. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. That means they're in the top 3% nationwide in Generac generator sales. Give yourself the peace of mind to know that you're not going to lose power when those storms go through or when that crazy person drives off the road and hits the power line just near your house. Because that Generac generator is going to kick on and you'll be up and running as good as new. If you work from home, you can't afford a power outage. You got to be productive. Get that Generac home standby generator put in today. You can give them a call, same number they've had for 40 years down there in Napoleonville, 985-397-1562. Again, that's 985-397-1562. Or you can give them a call in the Gonzales location, the 225 area code at 225-300-9389. That's 225-300-9389. Or do it the easy way, like I tell you every single day, BoudreauxElectrical.com. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services, BoudreauxElectrical.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Roz's. This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows on the Hunt Palmer Show brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp here at Lod Cook Alumni Center and Hotel, hanging out in the bar area. I'll be at Rouse's coming up from 3 to 5 o'clock. Burbank and Lee invite you to come on by and say hey to us if you're getting your tailgate supplies, just getting your groceries for the weekend or week to come. Rouse is always a fantastic spot to get them, and I will be there coming up here in about an hour from right now, hanging out until 5 o'clock. I'll have some hats, shirts, things to give away, so hopefully you can come see us at Rouse's, Burbank and Lee. Just a ton on the line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New Orleans Saints coming up on Sunday. We'll talk about the injury report coming up here that we got 24 hours ago. But I just wanted to lay a few things out here before we get into breaking down the personnel in the game. If the Bucs lose this game, they would be 0-2 in the division because they lost that heartbreaker to Atlanta. Only 5 teams that started their seasons 0-2 in division play have won them since the current format was installed in 2002. Only 5 times that has happened. And so this is an awkward spot for Tampa because they came over early, and they've been in New Orleans all week. And, you know, who knows where friends and family may be. We understand that as well as anybody here in South Louisiana. But it's been an awkward week outside of the routine. I listen to Jake every morning on OTB, and he talks about the routine that NFL players and really football players in general get into. And Tampa's been taken out of that this week with their trip to New Orleans. Of course, that's small potatoes in the football sense, sleeping in a hotel instead of your bed, as opposed to starting a quarterback who's never started a game before. And that's what the Saints are up against on Sunday with Spencer Rattler. Yesterday's show, we talked about the tough spot this is for Spencer Rattler. You don't have the starting center. Don't have the starting right guard. Your tackles have been okay. You don't have your do-it-all playmaker in Taysom Hill. You didn't have in practice on Wednesday Rashid Shaheed. Kamara's been dealing with things, and he wasn't practicing earlier in the week. It's just not a super advantageous spot to put a rookie quarterback in with all of those parts around him in the offense so much in flux. But thankfully for New Orleans, you got some better news in some spots with players on the injury report yesterday. Offensively, Alvin Kamara returned to practice on Thursday in a limited way. Rashid Shaheed returned to practice on Thursday in a limited way. Those two guys having not practiced is not a big deal for them. Alvin Kamara doesn't need to practice. He knows the offense. He knows what the speed of an NFL game is like. He can sit and not necessarily work out early in the week. Basically, the same thing goes for Rashid Shaheed. He's been around long enough, and his role in the offense is solidified enough that he doesn't have to go out there and crack helmets on a Tuesday to get ready to play, on a Wednesday to get ready to play. But when you have a quarterback who's trying to work with the first team for the first time, you'd like to have the first team out there. Like that obviously almost goes without saying that's preferable. And so, thankfully, yesterday in Thursday's injury report, Alvin Kamara did return in a limited way, and Rashid Shaheed did return in a limited way. You would assume that on Friday those guys would ramp it up just another notch, and they'd be good to go. Rashid Shaheed met with reporters yesterday, said, yeah, I'll be ready to go in the game. And so that's a big deal. I think this is an obvious point with Spencer Rattler, but one that I'll certainly make because it'd be, malpractice not to. You got to worry about turnovers with young quarterbacks. They can be game-changing, and they can be confidence-crippling. And Spencer Rattler does not lack for ability nor confidence. And all of a sudden, if you get a little too aggressive in an unnecessary way and try to put too much pressure on that offensive line, and all of a sudden he starts trying to fit balls in windows that were there when South Carolina was playing the Citadel but aren't there when the Saints are playing the Tampa Bay Bucks, you get in some trouble. Tampa's got a good defensive front. I think Jalen Carter and Chris Jones are better than anybody that the Bucks have, but it's still a good group, obviously. And so I would prioritize some safe stuff early. I was listening to Jake on the morning show, and he said you got to run your offense. You can't put a governor on him, is what Jake was saying on the morning show. And I agree with that to an extent. You can't run all 3-yard hitch routes. You can't run all quick screens. You can't do nothing but run the ball. You've got to let Spencer Rattler play quarterback. But my suggestion would be to make sure that he's fairly comfortable. I don't want to get out there, if you've got Spencer Rattler making his debut, and throw a bunch of intermediate and deep shot passes on first down because he's a gunslinger. Because as quickly as you get into 2nd and 10 and you get into 3rd and 9 and you give the ability of the defense to know that a pass is coming, and that means they can disguise their defenses so much more easily than they could if a run was possible, then you make things as hard on him as possible. Like if a defense is in 3rd and 9 because you took shots on 1st and 2nd down, then they can bring 6 guys up and be creative with which ones they bring, which 4 or 5 they bring, which one they drop. They can make things look different. You use the term seeing ghosts all the time. They can disguise where pressure is coming from because they don't have to respect the run. This goes without saying, and it's a very obvious football cliche, but it's more important with Spencer Rattler out there than it is with Derek Carr. You have to stay in front of the chains. You have to find a way to make sure that Tampa can't know that you're coming with pressure, that you're coming with the pass, so they can come with pressure. Because I think Spencer Rattler will turn the ball over if that happens. I'm with you, Saints fans, in terms of the glimmer of hope that comes to light when Spencer Rattler takes the field out there. But you've got to stay in front of the chains. And that means Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams are going to have to shoulder a huge load. And then some easy stuff. Get the ball on the perimeter. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, you got to make some people miss. You got to make some people miss on short throws. You can't count on Spencer Rattler finding tight windows all through intermediate coverage all day long. Give him some easy stuff and let him move forward. I'm not saying, as Jake suggested this morning, limit it to 10 plays, keep him comfortable with all that. No, run it, but understand what the mission is. And the Saints, quite frankly, cannot expect to win on Sunday. Cannot expect to win on Sunday if they are going to go out there and think that they've got to score 32 points to do it. The Saints need to beat Tampa 24-20. They need to beat them 20-17. And what does that mean? Defense, come on now. Peyton Turner returned in a limited way. Willie Gay was a full participant yesterday. You've got to get some of these guys back on defense that have missed a little time, and it looks like they're getting pretty healthy. I realize Will Harris is going to miss time, and you're working out 4 safeties yesterday, but you've got Tyron back, DeMario's back. Your secondary, especially at corner, is healthy. Chase Young is playing well. Carl Granderson is ready to go. Brazie's out there. Like, your defense, as bad as the injuries are on offense, your defense looks okay. And so they've got to play well. Tampa's got 2 receivers that are playing elite-level football right now. Godwin's been awesome, and Evans is just as steady as they come over the last decade in the league. But the defense is going to have to show up. The defense is going to have to hold Tampa to 17 or 20 points. And if you don't, and if you give up 28 or 31 in this game, you will lose. And you are going to put yourself in such a bad spot if you lose this game from a record standpoint, division losses standpoint that comes with tiebreakers, energy in the city standpoint, Sean Payton coming to town next Thursday standpoint, like all of that. And so I realize that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here when I say I'm not expecting a ton from the offense and you better win. But that's what it comes down to. In the defense, it better show up. You've got to force a turnover or two. You've got to get to Baker Mayfield. You've got to stop some drives. The good news for the Saints, and I do think there's something to this, is that they have the best red zone defense in the National Football League. And I don't think that's coincidence. Why do I think they have the best red zone defense in the NFL? Because I think they're really good in coverage, and I think they close those windows when the field shrinks very, very well. Yeah, Saquon got loose for a long touchdown run. Yeah, Dallas Goedert got loose and set up the touchdown. Those are big chunk plays that have hurt you. Those plays go away when you shrink down the field to 20 yards and inside 15 and 10 yards. And guys like Lattimore, Alontae Taylor, Adebo, Tyron, they're making plays to make turnovers in the red area and force field goals. Teams are only scoring touchdowns 25% of the time on the Saints in the red zone. That has to continue. I do think the Bucs will move the ball. You got to stop them in the red zone. And if you can get into a late game situation, you are at home. Now, the Saints have stunk in late game situations. Ross Jackson, our Saints beat reporter for LouisianaSports.net, has got a great column up on the website right now talking about the defense's inability to make the plays late to get a win. They couldn't stop the Cardinals, the Falcons. Sorry, they went down and got that pass interference penalty. They couldn't stop the Eagles. They let the big play to Goddard go. You got to a winning portion of that game, and you couldn't make the play. You've got to get it to that point, largely on the back of the defense, and then win the game at that point. And right now, they haven't done that. So it's an adverse spot for the Saints. Even though Tampa is on the road and traveling early, even though you've got the home crowd behind you, it's an adverse spot. But it's one you really need because you can start seeing the light dim on this Dennis Allen era of Saints football if they don't do a better job Sunday and get a win. Because I'm just telling you right now, you lose 2 home games in 5 days, see ya. Like, lights out. That's 5 losses in a row, 2 at home. You're way down in the division. Don't have the tiebreaker with either team. Big, 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 big trouble. Huge game for the Saints coming up on Sunday inside the Superdome. It'll be a noon kickoff between the Saints and the Buccaneers. My final pick on that game coming up in about 25 minutes from right now. I'll give you a pick on the LSU and Ole Miss game as well to close out the show. When we come back, a little take it or leave it on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. You could be next. Starts with a free consultation. I said that right. A free consultation. Call David Duvall and his team. Have them come out. If you're not sure where you want to start, it starts with that questionnaire. What do you have? What are you looking for? Here's what we can do. Maybe you wake up every morning, you go into the closet, there's coat hangers everywhere, you got suitcases jammed in here, you got shoes jammed over there, you're trying to figure out what suit you're going to wear, and the lights don't work in there. If that's the situation, rectify it. Get David Duvall and his team to come out there. Maybe they tell you to use that space a little bit more efficiently. Maybe they say, hey, we got to do a new closet for you. And they're a licensed contractor. They can do the entire project from start to finish with your new bathroom or, in this case, your new closet. If you're worried about paying for it, it's understandable. But, hey, they got financing options. 18 months interest-free if you qualify. They're here to help you and make sure you get into the closet or the bathroom of your dreams. Check out the pictures of their great work, the reviews from their satisfied customers, and get that free consultation at onebathandclosets.com. It's onebathandclosets, onebathandclosets.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, you know, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, you know. We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Cannaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
We're here at the Lod Cook Alumni Center and Hotel. Been a fun hour and a half thus far. We got 30 minutes to go. The first hour was fantastic today. If you missed it, I highly invite you to check it out online. Brad Davis, he of Burt Jones to Brad Davis back in 1972, was with us at the top of the show, reliving that in fantastic memory back in Tiger Stadium. And then Preston Guy with us talking LSU football at 1:15. Then Eddie Kennison jumped aboard, who was a childhood hero of mine, and it was great to spend some time with him. Because of that, I did not spend a ton of time breaking down LSU and Ole Miss today. I'm going to do that coming up in the next segment with a little bit of an extended edition of the pick of that football game. Certainly going to pick Saints and Bucks coming up here at the end of the show as well. But we do it every day. Let's do it right now. Let's take it or leave it.
All right, first one here. Potty training. Take it or leave it. Leave it.
We'll see. I'll give you a report on Monday because apparently that's a part of my weekend. I am not going to be involved too much in that on Saturday because I've got a pregame show to do and then a game to watch and then a postgame show to do. But apparently this is going to be quite a circus at my house. I've never done this potty training gig before, but we're going to see what we can do on that perspective. My wife has read an entire book that looked like a long book. I haven't read a book as long as that book in quite some time, and she's got it all figured out. I'm going to just take her P's and Q's. I got a feeling there's going to be some issues, but we'll report back as everyone is highly anticipating on Monday's show. It should be absolute. I was told, this is a big portion, I was told I was not allowed to go to the LSU scrimmage in baseball on Sunday because I have to man that battle station. So it should be a circus.
All right, next one here. College football injury reports. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave this. I mean, Kiffin is absolutely trolling everybody with this. He's got the entire roster on the injury report. It's ridiculous. And as I said yesterday, I'm fine with it. But, I think that the idea that we're in some way helping out the gamblers by publishing these farcical injury reports is absurd. LSU had Chris Hilton as probable last week. He's not even going to play this week, I don't think. So it couldn't have been probable. It's just ridiculous, but I don't have a problem with it. I just recognize the absurdity.
All right, next one here. Oregon makes a statement at home tomorrow. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I just don't think Oregon's played that well this year. And I think Ohio State has looked great. I recognize Ohio State hasn't played anybody, and we kind of put Ole Miss in that tier. And then Ole Miss played Kentucky, who put up a fight and punched them in the mouth, and Ole Miss cowered. They didn't throw a punch back. And theoretically, in-out's in a very difficult place to play. I think that could happen to Ohio State. I just am not predicting it. I have a lot more faith in Ohio State's talent to play up to its level and to respond to adversity than I do Ole Miss for the first time. So I think it'll be an incredible environment in Outson. I'm one of those people that, yeah, I do like the traditional rivalries, but I'm not going to complain that Ohio State and Oregon are playing a regular season conference game. That is kind of cool, and it should be an incredible spectacle. I think Ohio State will win the game. I think they'll win it by 10 points, and I think they're one of the best teams in the country. I'm not ruling Oregon out of the playoff by any stretch, but I'm also not going to pick them to win tomorrow.
Yeah, it seems like both those teams still, well, even regardless of the outcome of that game, should have a pretty decent chance of still making it. Next one here, Carlos Boozer's twin five-star sons, Cameron and Camden Boozer, both picked Duke today. Great job recruiting by Coach Shire. Take it or leave it. Or leave it.
I mean, I got to leave this one. I can't give you a lot of credit, Coach Shire, for recruiting Carlos Boozer, one of the legends of Duke basketball's son, named Cameron Cooper. He's named after the building they play in. If you can't get that one, then you just got to go. Something tells me that Hubert Davis didn't get a long way in recruiting Cameron Boozer. Trying to get him up to Chapel Hill. Apparently, Cameron is an excellent player, one of the best players in the country, a top 5 player in the country. But those guys were going to go to Duke no matter what. And so, yeah, I'm not going to give Coach Shire a huge amount of credit for getting those two.
Yeah, next one here. T-Bob will get his game pick in on time for LouisianaSports.net. Take it or leave it.
Here's the deal. We have a station survey every week, and I try to put that up on game day, sometimes the day before. Try to get everybody's pick, and then we publish it. And I'm not here to suggest that T-Bob is incredibly prompt with that response time. It's 2:30 on Friday. I sent it to him at 6:30 this morning, along with a text message. I haven't quite gotten it back. Jake has sent his. Alondra, she's been working. She's here right now. I haven't gotten it from her, but I feel like it's going to come. T-Bob, it may not happen. We'll see what happens. But I'm not here to tell you it's going to be on time. We might be sailing without T-Bob this week. It's a possibility.
Yeah, we're leaving that. I don't think it's happening. I'll tell you right now though, I will be sending mine in after the show, so don't worry about that. Next one here, USC upsets Penn State in the Coliseum this weekend. Take it or leave it.
You know, I'm going to take this one. I don't think USC is very good. USC, it disappoints me to watch USC lose to Minnesota and have USC get punked by Michigan who can't throw the ball. Like, that's a bummer to me because LSU lost that game, and that really stings. But I just don't know. Penn State going all the way out there, are they really good? I think that Lincoln Riley can scheme some things up, and maybe because their defense is a little bit better, they can win. So this may be a little bit against the grain, although Penn State never wins big games. How big a game is this against Penn State? I'm not sure. Against USC, I'm not sure, but I'll take USC at home in the Coliseum to beat Penn State.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. USC hasn't looked great since beating LSU. They've looked okay, but not great. So Penn State, man, that's a big win, even though their USC isn't as highly touted as maybe they were earlier in the season, but still would be a big win for James Franklin. Next one here, the Bengals can beat the Giants on Sunday Night Football. Take it or leave it.
I am going to take this. The Bengals are making me cranky. I'm cranky with Zach Taylor. I'm cranky with the defense. As I mentioned back in the NFL preview segment that we did, the Bengals are second in the NFL in points per drive. Burrow's second in the NFL in QBR. Like, the offense has been okay. The defense hasn't been good enough, and Taylor absolutely cut the legs out from under Joe Burrow in the fourth quarter, and I still haven't gotten over it 5 days later from last week. They should have won that game against Baltimore. That would have put them right back in the mix for the division. I still don't think the Steelers are good. I still think the Browns are an absolute joke, so they've got a chance, but they're way behind the 8 ball because the defense and the coach have stunk. So I think they're going to beat the Giants, who are awful, and Malik's not playing, so I don't have to be conflicted about that. But hopefully he gets back pretty quickly because he can definitely be the Rookie of the Year, although his former teammate may be way out in front in that one. But, yeah, I think the Bengals will beat the Giants on Sunday Night Football. I will take that.
All right, last one here. The Commanders can win in Baltimore. Take it or leave it.
Can win, I'll take it. Will win, I will not take it. I think that Baltimore is really good. I know that they've lost a couple of games already. We know that that was a really, really tough one in Arrowhead on the opening night of the season. They kind of stole one from the Bengals last week, as we just alluded to. But I think Baltimore's really good. They move the ball a ton. They run it great. And Washington has not stopped the run at all this year. So I'll be pulling for Jaden. If they do win this game on Sunday, they're absolutely a threat in the NFC. There's no question about that. I mean, you look across the NFC, the 49ers have looked good, not great. The Lions have been very good, but the Eagles haven't looked like world beaters. I don't think anybody in the South terrifies anybody. So Jordan Love hadn't played well for the Packers. So I think a win against Baltimore in Baltimore for Washington would solidify them for sure as a team that absolutely can make a push in the NFC. So I'll be pulling for them, but I think Baltimore wins that game. You got anything else for us?
That's it.
Awesome. As I mentioned at the top of that segment, we're going to do a little bit longer breakdown of LSU and Ole Miss in the next segment because I haven't done a lot of that. It was fine because we got to talk to Brad Davis and Eddie Kennison in the first hour, but those are usually the spots where I get to more of the breakdown of this game between LSU and Ole Miss, and didn't get a chance to do that. So we'll extend the pick segment a little bit longer and talk about my keys to the game. I'll give you a tease here because I wrote about this morning at LouisianaSports.net. I think I may have been analyzing this game incorrectly for the last 4 days. Maybe not, maybe so, but I kind of get that sense after doing a little bit more digging last night and into this morning. So I'll give you the reason why I think that coming up, and then I'll pick that game as well as the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're here from the Lod Cook Alumni Center and Hotel. It's a Football Friday. We got one segment to go. Come back with us.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. EvolvePT.com is the website. Robbie Bolton and his team are fantastic. He's been at it for 2 decades. He's right there on Starring near Highland Road, right next to Sammy's Grill. If you're in pain, no matter what the case may be, if you were in an automobile accident, if you fell, maybe you've been a youth athlete or you're an older athlete, or just something slept wrong and can't figure out what's going on. Pain is no fun. And if you need to get back to being your active self, the folks at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports are here to help you with that, and they'll be hands-on the entire way. Soft tissue manipulation, dry needling, cupping, scraping, all of that. They can also do isokinetic testing to make sure that you're progressing physically, the strength is coming back, so that you can get back to being your active self, no matter what that means. If it means getting back on the field as a youth athlete or getting back on the pickleball course or the golf course as somebody in your 60s, if you're an active person and you're not able to do those things that you love to do, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports is your spot. Check them out, starring near Highland Road or online at evolvept.com. It's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, evolvept.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Join us at Pro Dreams in Mandeville for our special event, A Day of Champions. Meet LSU National Championship winning head coaches Jay Johnson, Skip Bertman, and Paul Maneri. Don't miss your chance to purchase authentic sports memorabilia, autographed by the champions themselves. It's the perfect opportunity to celebrate LSU baseball and take home a piece of history. Visit pro-dreams.com to get your tickets. See you there.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Coming to you from the Lod Cook Alumni Center and Hotel. It's a Football Friday here. Our Friday show is always brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. If you are going out to Tiger Stadium, going out to campus to tailgate tomorrow, and you're looking for some food, Corks is always happy to help you out with their catering orders. Paul and Michael have been doing catering in this town for better than a decade. They're the folks that brought you Kuyans across the river in Port Allen. They do a ton of catering, and they can do that for you at Corks as well. So if you're looking for your tailgate supplies, jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, crinkle, they used to have the crinkle cut fries. Now they got the shoestring fries. Got your honey butter rolls, all your sauces, tartar sauce, cocktail sauce, Cork sauce. And they can do it in bulk if you ask them to. So whether it's tailgating, a game watch party, or even feeding the office during the middle of the week, Corks is happy to help you out with all of that. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Corksfishandshrimp.com. We're coming down the home stretch here on this Friday edition. And I want to spend a little time just talking about this game before we actually pick it. I have spent most of the week on this show and writing on LouisianaSports.net talking about the opportunity for LSU's defense this week, because that was the topic of conversation all off-season long, is whether or not LSU could get its defense up to speed to compete at the top of the SEC. And we get an opportunity to see some of that on Saturday night. Obviously, they've dealt with some injuries. You hate losing Jacoby and Guillory. You hate losing Harold Perkins. Zy Alexander hasn't played very much. But I've told you, like, Lane Kiffin, Jackson Dart, team that's won a ton of games over the last 3 years in Ole Miss, this is your chance to see if the defense is ready to swim in the deep end and keep LSU in games and help LSU win games. You thought you had an opportunity to see that against USC, and quite frankly, they held USC to 13 points midway through the fourth quarter of that game and then gave up 2 touchdown drives. But I told you all week, like, this is the chance to see if LSU's ready defensively to compete. And I actually have studied this a little bit more and come to this conclusion. I know what LSU's defense is going to do, relatively speaking, tomorrow. I don't think Ole Miss is going to score 55 like they did last year. I don't think Ole Miss is scoring 17. Ole Miss is going to score some. I think they're going to hit some big plays. Maybe LSU gets some sacks. Hopefully the Tigers can get a turnover. But Ole Miss is going to score some on Saturday night. This, honestly, may be the opportunity for this offense, for this quarterback, to say, hey, we're good enough to play against the best defenses in the SEC. Because despite what the perceived identity of Ole Miss's program is, with Lane Kiffin at quarterback, that it's an offensive team, their defense has been better this year. Walter Nolan is going to be an early pick. Prince Umanmielen, I don't know how to say it. Either way, he's a really good pass rusher. He's going to be out there. J.J. Bakis is a great interior pass rusher, an athlete who might have a touchdown tomorrow because he's got 4 at 315 pounds catching wildcat snaps. They've got guys on the other side like Ivy, Amos at corner. They're good on defense. They put the clamps on South Carolina. Kentucky didn't light them up. Like, they're good on defense. And LSU's offense now has its chance to prove that it can play against those elite teams and score enough points to win. Because the identity of this LSU team is going to be, if they're good, play some defense and score enough on offense. You're not going to smother Alabama. You're not going to smother Texas A&M. Your defense isn't good enough to do that. So I think this is actually a better litmus test for the offense than it is the defense. Keep in mind, Ole Miss scored 17 on Kentucky. They didn't light it up against South Carolina last week. They just held them to 3. So, to me, Garrett Nussmeier, Joe Sloan, Kyron Lacey, all you offensive linemen up front dealing with pros on their defensive line, it's about time for you to step up and kind of prove it. I may have had this backwards all week. I think that's the point that we will have to see in this game. So we got one thing left to do here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're going to pick them. We will start in the National Football League. New Orleans and Tampa have a big one.
Just go.
All right, look, this is not a great spot for Spencer Rattler. I know it's exciting for a lot of Saints fans, but it's not a great spot. You don't have a lot of your playmakers on offense. Your offensive line is in shambles, and you're counting on a rookie quarterback to go out there and carry the mail in his NFL debut. And I don't love that. I like the fact that it could be an opportunity for the Saints to take a glimpse into the future. The odds are it's not, because 4th, 5th, 6th round picks don't hang around very long as quarterbacks in the NFL. Look across the board. You name a team, their quarterback probably went in the first 15 picks of the draft. That's just the way it goes. And the Saints never pick one there, so you never know. But this is probably not going to be a glimpse into the Saints' future. But it might be a glimpse into the future in the sense of you're going to need a new head coach, because if you can't win the next 2 weeks, and that starts with this week, obviously, then this era might be coming to a close. That means it's time for the defense, which is fairly healthy, to show up with the Dome crowd and hold Tampa to 20 points and let Spencer Rattler try to ease into this thing and make a play late to win it. That's what you've got to hope if you're a New Orleans Saints fan, and you need to win this game. Demario Davis back, Lattimore healthy, Tyron's back, Willie Gay is back. You've got your edge rushers. You've got to go out there and make it a close game. I think it will be a close game because almost every game in the NFL is a close game. But I don't think New Orleans is going to win it. My final prediction here is that I think Tampa gets one touchdown too many, and the Saints can't keep up. I've got Tampa winning 28-17 in the Superdome on Sunday, and I think that spells trouble for the New Orleans Saints, but we shall see. All right, last thing we got to do here is pick LSU and Ole Miss. And we've been talking about it all week. It's just a massive, massive game. And those are just so much fun around here. I mean, you've got folks from all over the state that are coming in. It's a gorgeous day to drive. It's going to be a gorgeous day to tailgate tomorrow. And tomorrow night, Death Valley will be everything that you want it to be. You've got a great opponent who is a threat. LSU fans know that you could wreck Ole Miss's season, the most anticipated season they've had in 40 years, 50 years, with a win. It'll be full throat in there to start, and that's going to help LSU's defense to an extent. But the defense is going to have to pick up the slack from there. And I trust LSU's offense to move the ball. I do think Ole Miss will make some plays with their edge rushers. They're active and they're good. And I think that they'll win theirs, and LSU's offensive line will win theirs as well. I'm nervous about LSU's running game. Ole Miss is number one in the country in run defense. Is that because they played a terrible schedule, which is true, or is that because they're that good running the football, stopping the run? We'll see tomorrow. But I do trust Garrett Nussmeier to make good decisions and LSU to move the ball through the air. The thing that's hung me up all week is that I don't know that I can come here and honestly tell you I like LSU's defensive back's ability to run with Ole Miss. If Trey Harris is significantly compromised, that does change things a little bit, and they're very, very dependent on him. But it's going to be tough on Blake Baker with that personnel to match wits with Lane Kiffin. I'm very, very hopeful that he is. I can't wait to get on campus tomorrow. I'm already super fired up right now to do it. Tiger Stadium is going to be awesome, and we all know that it's not always awesome. It will be tomorrow. Can LSU do enough on both sides of the ball to come up with the biggest win in that stadium in a couple of years? I just can't trust the defensive secondary to do it right now. I think Ole Miss wins this game by a final score of 34-24. I hope I'm dead wrong, but it's going to be a lot of fun until we find out. That's all we can do from the Lod Cook Alumni Center. Matt Moscona is going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Come on, Tigers.